This is America. We're great. We've never done anything bad. We were oppressed by Britain. We escaped from Britain. Now we're like the gods, right? Terrorism. That's first. You have to ask the question: what is terrorism? Why are we associating terrorism with Islam? The media definitely portrays all terrorists. They only say the word terrorist if it has to do with an Islamic, like Muslim person who will go and like blow themselves up or hold a child in front of them while they're shooting at you. So no, literally, they don't use the word terrorist to describe the people that did the Colorado movie theater shootings or stuff like that. They use mentally insane, like anything except the word terrorist. So why do you think they do that? Because they want you to be scared of like Middle Easterners. They have all these preconceived ideas about who you are as a person, about how you're going to behave, about how you do behave, what you've done, what you will do, and they just know already. And you walk into this room and all these people just look at you and they have what looks to be fear or hatred. How would you act? I don't know. I would not be happy if that happened. I'd come in and I'd be like, wow, fuck you, I want to kill all of you. In America, or at least in the school that I went to, in the schools that I've gone to, in the schools that my friends have gone to, you don't learn that much about the world. You learn not that much about yourself. You learn how to study for a test, and you learn to hate studying for that test. You live in this system, and you don't really get to explore yourself outside of that system. There's so many ideas that, and just cultures and traditions that we're exposed to that we don't even know we're being exposed to, or that we would rather not be exposed to and learn from. So we haven't gotten to experience a lot of the world's problems. At the same time, we're also not exposed to all the great things that the world has to offer, because this entire conversation has had like some sort of negative aura around it. But I'd like to mention that in my time around the world, I've seen so many amazing, beautiful, like just honestly awesome. There's so many things in this world that like so many people will never get to see, and that makes me upset. The point is that you don't have to go somewhere and be there and see it to experience it. We just don't learn so many great things. I think that you're not, that's not learning, that's understanding facts. What really learning is being able to observe the world around you and to be able to take ideas from that and build values, virtues, and all that within yourself and within your family and friends. And I think that's really learning, and I don't think any of that is enforced or reinforced, or there's no understanding of people, their past, their heritage, their beliefs. We aren't the good guys. The US isn't the good guys. We're just a country, just like everyone else. We portray everyone else as bad. They might portray us as bad. There is no good guy. There is your beliefs, and everyone who agrees with you is good, and everyone who disagrees is bad. And that's just how it is.
I'm an American only when I seem to agree with people on how America is and how America conducts its foreign policy. You can't make me choose between two nations. I was born in America, but that doesn't mean I believe America is always right. And I think a real American would have a healthy respect for debate. I didn't really talk about my Iranianness because they didn't understand it, or they didn't want to understand it. And so it was always like I had to almost prove myself to be American. Learning about other culture will teach you to learn about yourself. And it also opens you up to empathy and dealing with other people. And when you learn about other cultures and you travel, you begin to have a respect for other people and how they go about their lives. And common respect is something that you need in a world where people disagree, where people don't get along, where there's war and strife and all that kind of stuff. I am constantly frustrated by how the American voter is so apathetic and believes common media, puts themselves in an echo chamber and doesn't even really want to learn about politics. They think politics is not important to their lives. And it is. I mean, Aristotle put it best. He said man is a political animal because by virtue of living with other people, there are politics involved with that. of one sort or another, and you can't just stick your head in the sand and act like it doesn't matter, and then the moment it affects you or you think something is going wrong, you pull your head out of the sand and complain. I think if you don't teach critical analysis from a young age, or even in school at all, then people are coming out of school not knowing how to apply that critical analysis to their real life, which means they're not going to apply it with regards to matters of state or public affairs or whatever.
He looks Middle Eastern. Look at those dark set features. Look at those thick eyebrows. Look at that beard. Is he a jihadist? I'm Middle Eastern, so obviously it was an act of terrorism. What else could I be capable of? The textbook paints Iran as an Islamic country that is our enemy. We're looped into an axis of evil. Where, really, you want to look at the axis of evil? Guess who made Iran the country it is? America did, but when you look at social studies classes, the critical thinking skills and analysis go towards summarization. There's no actual critical thought process of what went wrong, not what went wrong with others, what went wrong with us and what we did. Kids that grow up to be the lay American, they never get the opportunity to really question and explore and learn how to really digest information.
That the media, instead of just saying, let's all look at this and see what's happening, they interpret it. And that's where we get into trouble, because you can have 4 people standing on 4 different street corners and observe an altercation or an accident in the middle, and each one of them will tell the truth, but it's from their perspective. And there's 4 different perspectives, just like there's 4 different cameras that see something different. A lot of times there is an act that is deplorable and horrible and horrific, and if we're not sure where the enemy is, we will just pin that on the enemy du jour and go and attack the shit out of them. That's what we do. But I think that we just have a quick to pull the trigger kind of mentality in our country very often, and that we make decisions that are not based in fact at all, but are just based on emotion. Our job as educators is to throw out the facts like a 52 card deck on the table and teach people how to think, how to ask questions, how to probe, how to be comfortable sitting in the not knowing and continuing to ask a question, rather than saying, here's what we believe, and not how to think, but what to think. Or what they're talking about, whether it's math or whether it's astronomy or whether it's psychology or whatever, but when they're given a topic and they're taught how to think and how to ask questions that help them come to their own conclusions, and they're given all of here's all the things that we know for certain, and everything else is interpretation. And now, what do you make of those facts yourself? I mean, if educators taught people how to think instead of what to think, now we've got smart people.
Because I definitely don't think that anyone has prepared me for the way that the world actually is. And like, people have their opinions, and you can talk to people and they all have their opinions, especially if like they're from a group or a specific like area of the country. It's like all similar opinions, and so you get caught up in that and you're like, I think this is probably the way things are because so many people have this opinion. But then if you ever leave that area, it ends up you're like, oh, people in this other area have a completely different viewpoint of the world. And it's completely necessary to, I think, like, go to those places or talk to people from different places, because they can show you how it actually is. It's just really incredible how much I don't know about the world and how different things are. It's probably the most important thing of anyone's life to leave the place that they were raised, because otherwise you can't step back and look at your experiences from an outside perspective. So within months of leaving my house and living at school, I started like analyzing like my views on everything and like how I feel and like why I'm like opposed to certain things based on like the influences on me since childhood. And it's just like, hi, the Westboro Baptist Church doing shit to represent my religion, or like the religion that I'm like aspiring to be a part of. And I'm just kind of like, perfect, great. I love that this is getting made fun of, because like now the people who maybe don't think quite as much about it or just like already had a negative view of Christians.
Zambia and Zimbabwe right now, with a life expectancy of 38 years, 85% unemployment, life is dim. They don't have a lot of hope about the future, certainly not getting a job or escaping the poverty around them. So I think people's views are shaped by their ability to improve their lives in a lot of places in the world because of the strong economic forces that are against them. It's hard to have a lot of hope. Our life is a grind, especially when you're talking about countries where the life expectancy is so short. Death is a common part of life. Infant mortality is very high. There's a high orphan rate, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. I think most people have no idea what most of the world is like. That's one of the reasons that I've enjoyed taking volunteers on mission trips, because it's very eye-opening, and I think we all have the potential to do very evil things. I think there are Muslims that do evil things and Christians that do evil things and Hindus and all over the world. The Bible says that the heart of man is deceitfully wicked above all things.
Terrorism. Where does it come from?
I think it's a primitive part of human behavior, in that
Okay.
I will kill you to get what I want and send a message, because they disagree with the way the whole global schematic is set up, where America is the main power. I believe a lot of the media outlets are fear-mongering. Why do they need to justify themselves? People watch anyway. We haven't evolved that much. Humans are still killing each other, and the reactions just changed, because now people view it as a threat to themselves. It's an element of us existing. So it's a necessary evil, essentially.
I mean, you can go back as far back as you can into history and you'll find people using religion as an excuse or as a justification. I think we destroyed their homes. We destroyed their lives. I think in a way that America kind of brought this really harsh reality of aggression and war to their, forefront, to their front doorsteps. And that's the kind of fear, the kind of, terror that causes terrorism. I don't think American society looks at Muslims or, brown people in general as Americans. And at that point, you kind of realize that, like, no matter how westernized you make yourself or how white you make yourself, you're still going to be brown. And all that we're teaching you is one perspective. It's like this kind of tunnel vision that's like nothing else exists except America. And there's still a lot of people my age who don't really understand the gravity of how much my dad's people and my people have given to the entire world. And I think that the education system should teach kids at a young age that there's so much more out there than what they see on a map of the United States.
Stereotypes affect how we look at minorities and the way people were subjugated, and how history, they kind of built everything that we glorify, and how we kind of take credit for all that. I visited a school where they try to bring, Muslim and Christian and Jewish and whoever, anyone can come to the school together, and it's the holiday schedule. They're missing a lot of school because of that, and the food is a concern because different religions, have people eat different things, and I guess the kids benefit from being with other people, but it's a very difficult challenge. And in the U.S., you're kind of expected to give all those things up for the sake of being an American. And we talk so much about being a melting pot and how there's all these different cultures coming together, but really I feel like it's a lot of pressure to live your life the American way. I mean, in America, if you're not Christian, it's a burden to be a religious person. You're not supposed to drive to synagogue on Friday night, but what do I do when there's no synagogue, but driving distance from me, and there's 3-4 churches within a 2-minute walk, 5-minute walk. Or, people expect you to come into work on the day that's your holy day, and on Sunday you get off, but, Sunday is just another day of the week for you. The society is built for you to assimilate to other people. It's not for you to have, you have the freedom to do what you want, I guess, but you're going to have a very hard time convincing anyone to let you live your life that way. So I'm always the accommodation, People always have to go out of their way to accommodate me. And that's annoying. It's burdensome to feel like that. You always feel like you are someone else's problem. People always, I learned in my calculus class, Isaac Newton invented calculus, but There were Hindu mathematicians who were doing that centuries before Isaac Newton. So much of this country was built by slaves, or Chinese people building our railroads, or when there were many Jewish scientists and artists and philosophers, great thinkers coming to America, Albert Einstein, Sigmund Freud, athletes, Mark Spitz was a Jew, everyone contributes a lot. Yeah, I think it's wrong. Because you're requiring people to give up parts of their identity so that you can like them better. Why should the intimate and beautiful parts of your culture be kept into the privacy of your home? I think what you don't see in a lot of those countries is the diversity here. So I think being accepting is American and not requiring people to assimilate and appreciating those other cultures. Let them bring a taste of their home and their lifestyle to here.